Snyder. If you could take a time machine and go back in history or forward into the future, where would you go and why? I'll read it again. If you could take a time machine and go back in history or forward into the future, where would you go and why? Ginny Snyder.
I'm a big fan of Ancestry.com, a huge fan. My mother has always had a little bit of an obsession with genealogy, and I've inherited that. She was a history major, and it just sort of worked into her personality, into the things that she was interested in. My family history on my mother's side, because that was where all of the interest began, is really very interesting, in my opinion. My grandmother's side of the family was from Key West, and they were conchs. They had lived there basically since dirt, since the early 1800s. And prior to that, the English side of the family came through the Bahamas. Imagine living in the Bahamas in the 1700s. Imagine coming from England to the Bahamas in the 1700s. The Hispanic side of my grandmother's family were through Cuba. Prior to that, they had been from the Canary Islands, and those people we can actually trace back to St. Augustine, back through the 1600s, back and forth between Cuba. I think if I could travel back in time, I would just love to see a glimpse of any of those people's lives, to see what it was like in Florida, in the Bahamas, but specifically in Florida, where I've lived my whole life and where my family has been for so long, where life was so different once upon a time. If I could travel back in time, I would just want a glimpse of those lives, my ancestors' lives. Thank you.